In recent years, immigration has become an increasingly complex and sensitive issue that emerged through American culture and society. When people hear the word immigration, they think of illegal invaders coming across the US-Mexico border who only come to the United States to take jobs away from people, live off welfare of the communities, and essentially drain the country of its resources. It is because of images like this that a lot of people in the United States believe that undocumented immigrants are just another burden. As a result, are reluctant to support them and are close up to the idea of letting them into this country. American society have chosen to avoid learning about who undocumented immigrants really are and have instead chosen to believe the social racial stereotypes. Regardless of their efforts to integrate their families into local communities, many failed to create the lives they desire for themselves. Undocumented immigrants continue to have extreme restrictions and limitations due to the lack of proper documentation, and for certain people and age groups, citizenship is not even a possibility for them. Why do undocumented immigrants struggle to incorporate themselves fully into society? We believe that they cannot integrate themselves into American society fully because of the lack of necessary health resources, ability to pursue an education, due to not having papers, and the constant threat of being deported. According to David Barrera, who wrote Policy and Immigrants, Fear of Deportation and Perception of the Law in Criminal Justice, there is a fear of law enforcement on undocumented immigrants as a result of being under the same constant threat of deportation. For many, deportation means never getting to see your families again, having their lifetime's work taken away, or simply being pulled away from their world and their homes. As members of our society, one should not fear those who enforce the law. According to Barrera, however, this can be difficult for undocumented immigrants because the law enforcement officers can potentially report them to ICE or other agencies that may carry them out for deportation. This is a current issue because once the fear of police is established, a sense of mutual mistrust and eventually detention begins to develop between the law enforcement and undocumented immigrants. The way the police law enforcement presents it serves as a symbol of fear for many undocumented immigrants, and the problem that this creates in community makes it incredibly difficult for them to incorporate themselves fully into American society. Undocumented immigrants also struggle with the lack of healthcare resources. In the article, Undocumented Immigrants and Access to Healthcare, making a case for a policy reform by Lean Edwards, we see that undocumented immigrants have a minimal, if no healthcare access in this country for them. One of the reasons undocumented immigrants have minimal access to healthcare is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. This legislation was passed in order to increase access to health resources both for citizens and immigrants. However, it has excluded undocumented immigrants, further complicating their ability to access healthcare resources and preventing them from integrating into society. Another issue undocumented immigrants face is the lack of knowledge on how to actually access the healthcare resources. Some healthcare is obtainable without the need for insurance or legal papers, but many undocumented immigrants aren't aware of how to use the resources due to the language barriers, the lack of sufficient financial resources, and the fear that somehow they come in trouble with the law enforcement and be deported altogether. The combination of legal restrictions and the lack of information available for undocumented immigrants has been shown by Edwards article reveals the obstacles that prevent them from accessing basic resources they need to live healthy lives. The ability to receive these services makes it increasingly difficult for them to feel integrated into American society. Many qualified and talented students are prevented from attending universities and getting a higher education due to their accommodation status. In the article Undocumented College Bound, a case study supports the barriers high school students encounter in accessing their higher education. Magdalene Mourinho discusses some of the issues undocumented aspiring students face each day to counter this. One issue that students face when attempting to apply colleges and obtain a higher level education is the lack of financial resources. Many students who qualify and apply to universities never attend due to the lack of financial support, and although the United States government does provide financial assistance to students, it only gives financial aid to legal citizens. Another issue is the lack of awareness of available resources. One resource that does exist for undocumented immigrants is DACA, which allows students to enroll in universities. Even with all this, applicants still need to meet a criteria to even be qualified to be a dreamer. It does not provide any kind of financial aid. So dreamers do have access to dreaming, which is a type of financial assistance, especially for dreamers. It is difficult to qualify for this assistance, since dreamers must belong to a low-income family, and even this aid it's not enough to put an aspiring student to college. Other than dreaming, the only option to dreamers is through scholarships and loans, and sometimes this is not even enough. Study shows the ability to enroll in higher education, the ability to finance this education, proves to be a huge obstacle for undocumented immigrants to pursue careers in the fields of their interest at a time where higher education is necessary to make a decent living. The limitation in education undocumented immigrants face each day makes it nearly impossible to enroll in this society. I am undocumented. I have no criminal record, and I am a college student on a scholarship. I am stereotyped each day. Every time I tell somebody about my status here in the United States, they change their facial impressions. They feel pity for me, when in reality, I don't need their pity. I'm trying my hardest each day to fit into this society. Today's world, we deshumanize human beings just because we might not have the correct documentation. No matter where one lives, it's important to be informed of the social issues that affect our members of society. History repeats itself, not simply because we do not study it, because we choose to generally ignore it and not inform our society of what really is going on today. I also recognize that this issue is not simply about the people who share my ethnicity, but it's also about people who migrate from other countries, not just Mexico, people who believe immigrants are just a threat to livelihoods that have targeted basques of groups based on their religion, skin color, sexual orientation, making this topic especially important to us as a country. Overall, this research that I have been collecting here is vital to understand our current immigration laws, working against the social unity in our country, and ultimately destroying the original dream that our nation's founding fathers had in creating a land, a hope, and opportunity for us.